Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and Digital Economy, that is Honorable Awallo, continues to make the talk in the world of politics and governance. Why, you may ask? That is our conversation today on Siasa Brigade, yet another informative edition on a show that touches on matters politics and governance at large, hosted by yours truly, Richard Mwenje. Indeed, a pleasure to have you on board. And with me on this conversation is none other than the only voice of reason in the world of political analysis, this side of the Sahara, Herman Manyora.
Yes, Richard.
How are you, sir?
Wonderful.
Doing great?
Oh, wonderful.
We're now today we're actually talking about your friend Awallo. This man, many people consider he's overworking, just from a general perspective. Yesterday,
yeah, he's working hard.
We saw him yesterday hold a consultative meeting with Nyanza region leaders, talking matters welfare and all those things they are in. But it's also the same day when the country was under cyber security attack, government services they are in. From a general perspective, do you consider this man who is really working so hard and multi-talented that he's sort of a master of all trades?
Well, he's a hard-working gentleman, that's obvious. And he knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Yeah.
Now, to my question straight away.
Yes.
Why on a day when your docket is under jeopardy, and it's the same day you are holding a parallel subject that is going to have consultative meeting with members from the political class, don't you think that's a clash of interest?
No, you see, sometimes Americans say you can chew gum as you scale the stairs. You can do a number of things. A day in a minister's day is packed with many things. So I don't find anything odd in attending to the cyber issue and meeting Nyanza leaders, except it sends those wrong signals. It shows you lack the seriousness, because this is a very serious issue. You cannot put it side by side with side issues like meeting Nyanza leaders. Yeah.
Very well then. But there is a different quarter which believes maybe of all the cabinet secretaries, maybe it's only CS Awallo who has an extra niche over the rest in terms of consultative measures on matters politics, on matters public policy and all that stuff. Do you really consider him as that perfect person to run it all on behalf of the president?
No, nobody's perfect. We can't talk about people being perfect. But we can say, when it comes to Awallo, you can see some evidence of work, which is very hard to find with other ministers. Some evidence of a person working. The closest you could come to that is Moses Kuria. So that Moses Kuria, if it was not for his mouth, you can see a minister working. You can see his hand here, there, working. He may be doing some bad things here and there, but he's working. But it's very hard to look, maybe Kindiki, as he's dealing with the bandits. But the rest of these are just, you can't even know who they are.
So do you somewhat
if you ask Kenyans to name 10 ministers, not 22, 10, they will have a big problem. I'm telling you, 10, even me, I can't get past 10.
Just a few.
They are not there. Nobody's, you can use Kindiki, Awallo,
Penina Malonza.
Nobody knows any of these fellows, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
It's unfortunate.
So somewhat do you consider Awallo the latter day Fred Matiang'i?
He may not quite be there, but I feel if Awallo was in a ministry such as Matiang'i's, yeah, he could match him.
He could match him.
He has a zeal. He has the intellectual capacity to deliver. But very unfortunate for my friend Awallo, he's also carrying another burden, which will pale what he's doing. The burden of trying to be a Nyanza kingpin,
liberator,
to kind of think you can deliver Nyanza to Ruto, to liberate the Nyanza people. That is what will wash away what would have been his great achievement. Because it's not a task you can achieve.
But this far, we've seen him sort of convince a number of Luo leaders to go the Ruto's camp. Talk of Tom Ojenda, Raymond Omolo, they are in. All these firebrands in the Luo region. He's already doing that.
But Raymond Omolo is there as of his own right. And I think Tom Ojenda is there as of his own calculation and his own survival and his own right. So
because of the shepherding of Awallo.
Okay, it is true that Awallo has shepherded a few of has put Nyanza people together. Nyanza leaders, some of what you might want to call leaders. That's obvious to see. It's obvious to see. But I'm just saying people like Raymond Omolo have arrived where they are by their own struggles. People like Storm Agenda, fairly intelligent people, they must be making their own calculations. I don't think they are being herded by Awallo. But having said that, it is true that Awallo, more than any other leader today from Nyanza, is trying to put the region together.
The region together.
Yeah.
Which actually begs the question from a number of Kenyans, more so as Azimio supporters. They are worried, but maybe Awallo is the person who's been groomed to take over Raila Odinga.
Who's grooming him?
Come on.
You don't just take over from Raila Odinga like that. How? How do you just take over? You think these things are just there to be taken over?
The only voice of reason there in that could have matched the potential of Raila Odinga was somewhat considered to be Miguna. But then again, it's from...
Come on.
And Awallo is here, seated right at the center of government, holding these consultative talks week in, week out.
You know things change. You know things change because you are talking about politics. And politics is dynamic, is that right? So the dynamics of politics could be such that in another 5 or 10 years, Awallo could be the main man. But if we are talking about natural developments, just natural, what we can see now, it's not just about anybody who will inherit Raila's, and who says Raila is being inherited. Raila is a young man, he's still in the field. He has not removed his uniform, he's still donning jersey number Tisa.
Talk around town is what his political oxygen is running out.
Wearing number 9, striker Raila Odinga. So how can you rest a player who is still scoring?
Scoring when he's already running out of political oxygen.
Which one? Which one? He's in the field. He's the man in the field. He's the one scoring the goals. Can't you see the goals? How do you get a utility player and remove him?
With a failed Mandamano the other week?
Which failed? This is a man who... It is only Raila and Corona which can shut down the country. People have said that. Haven't you seen?
Miguna is also a threat to that country.
No. Miguna is a good man. He's my friend. But when you talk about Raila Odinga, please don't use that name with other names in the same sentence. They are not in the same world. Raila belongs to a different world. These guys are good people. They are even important. They are even great. But the world they belong to is an entirely different world.
An entirely different world, yet we've seen them rise up to be great mobilizers. Look now for the case of Awallo.
Yes.
Every week there, you find his consultative meetings full of local leaders from both divides and all that. He's sort of getting an organic following.
If Awallo, my friend, was in some village with the so-called Luo leaders, in some maybe a school, and Raila passed by, everybody ran away to go and see Raila. So what do you need to know that Raila is not like Awallo? And they are not. You can't compare this. Awallo is a good man, and he has a potential. I'm only warning him against overindulging in the Luo affairs, because under normal circumstances, you cannot make the Luo people recognize, appreciate, love, and even elect people who are viewed as traitors. I've said this many times, and I can say it in the interest of Awallo and other people. The Luo in this country have a unique history. Their history is defined and marked by long periods of betrayal and persecution. You get it? The Luo, more than anybody else, have contributed painfully to the growth of this country. They have lost their sons. Their sons and daughters have been denied jobs and promotion merely because they were Luos. They have been on the receiving end of police brutality and violence. So when you come from the Luo area, and the Luo associate you with that painful history of persecution and betrayal, you will have a big problem.
But don't you think that isn't enough? Because
but I'm saying politics is dynamic.
Yeah.
And therefore, through this dynamism, we can get to a point where the Luo people are willing to forget that. After all, they won't be the first people to forget. Many people have forgotten what they have gone through, okay? Or even chosen to forgive. So the Luo may get to a point and say, okay, we've been persecuted, we've suffered, we paid the ultimate price, we have brought this country to where it is. Our blood and sweat has brought this country to where it is. We have delivered Kenya. And we have, along the line, had people who have betrayed us. We have had traitors. Okay? But they are our sons and daughters. If they have merit in them, if they have potential, we shall disregard the association with those who have persecuted us.
Very well.
And give them a chance to serve them. It's possible.
In that dynamism has come the politics of tokenism in this country. And unlike Raila Odinga, we've seen Eliud Owalo always come into the masses bearing good tidings. If it's not food relief distribution, he's coming there with matters to do with sports improvement and just revitalizing some sectors therein, like tangible tokens to the masses, which is something that endear to the Kenyan electorate this day.
I'm happy you are calling it tokenism. You see, again, the Luo history. The Luo are a proud people. I have some little Luo blood in me, and we are a little proud. The Luo cannot be swayed by tokenism. The Luo do not want anybody's relief food. They have survived even when the worst of periods, when government made no effort to hide the fact that they didn't care about Luos. The Luos could perish if they wanted. The Luos never perished. They never begged anybody food.
He's now into gourmet.
So now this time when the people are enlightened, they have children who have gone to school, they are working, they can send them money to buy food. It is the time you can toss food, relieve food to Luos. They will just slap you. The Luo are a proud people.
He's almost becoming the face of gourmet.
And they are intelligent people who cannot fall for cheap tokenism. No, not Luos, maybe some other people.
So that isn't organic following behind Eliud Owalo?
Which organic following? Owalo is a good man, but only to the extent that he's running in the opposite direction. The Luos are running this way, and he's running the other side. So even if he's a good man, even if he's intelligent, you cannot win the race by running in the wrong direction. Like Ruto talked to. You cannot.
One of your close friends told me maybe Eliud Owalo is the latter-day Robert Oko. It could be such a threat even to the presidency.
No.
And particularly to Raila Odinga.
You see, that now you have brought Robert Oko. I said it and some people didn't understand what I meant. I asked people, he should go the Robert Oko way. People thought I was threatening people that they would be. No, what I meant was this. If you look at the leaders Kenyatta chose after betraying, persecuting Raila Jaramogi
Odinga,
after killing Luos in 1969, after detaining and putting Jaramogi under house arrest, proscribing his party, after all those bad things, Kenyatta chose to work with certain Luos. And they were hated Luos. They wouldn't even go to Luo land. People just slapped them. Moi came. It initially looked like he was bringing the country together and Luos were going to be part of his government, even gave Jaramogi a job, chairman of Cotton and Seed something marketing board. But then used an excuse when Jaramogi said, now that Kenyatta has died, land grabbing should be dealt with. And Moi just... The idea is, even Moi then began using Luos, who are not in mainstream Luos. And those Luos never had an impact among the Luos. Then came Robert Oko. He was special. That's what I meant Ken Owalo should learn from. He worked with Moi, supported Moi wholeheartedly, without seeming to be in conflict with his community, without seeming to be part of the persecution of his people. You get it? Without being such a sycophant that you have to sing Moi's praises and make a fool of yourself. You see? So, he was a dignified Luo, Robert Oko. And even the Luos, knowing he was working with Moi, had nothing against him. You get it? That's why I was advising people like Awallo. Is it not possible you can support William Ruto and his government and work for him diligently, while not turning yourself into an anti-people, anti-Luo person? You see, you don't have to jump on the train of those who are persecuting the Luos.
There's need to calibrate.
Yeah. So that, for example, my friend Raymond Omolo, a very intelligent young man, people are accusing him of talking about other things when his people, you know, they are always your people, are being killed and what. There's a way you can come out so that you are doing your job as a PS, but you are also empathetic to the suffering of your people. And you do it in such a manner you do not offend your employer, your boss, Ruto. That's how Robert Ouko was behaving.
Striking a balance.
Yeah, striking a very nice balance. You don't have to really spoil your name among your people while serving Moi.
Well.
So he served Moi diligently. He was one of Moi's best ministers. But never did he behave in a manner to annoy the Luo people.
Very well.
Yes.
The recent nationwide cyber security attack notwithstanding, on a scale of 1 to 10 this far, first day into office for CS Eliud Awallo, what will you rate him? Has he really set the bar too high, 1 to 10? What's your score?
No, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. I'm happy about it. Yesterday, the reaction was swift. They moved swiftly and they worked and things are back to normal. So at least this is that. I'm telling you, Awallo can do his job well. I have no problem with Awallo myself.
The score? 6 out of 10?
In terms of what? I know how I'm scoring. What am I scoring for?
Efficiency and all that stuff.
We have said that Awallo is efficient. We have said, in fact, he needs a bigger docket than the one he has. There's no doubt about that.
Very well.
But we have also warned him not to think he can upstage the Luo leadership and grab it. Because that is like Miguna, that is a far-fetched dream. For now, no, you will not. But future, you can never know. So the best way to prepare for future Luo leadership, if you are Awallo, is to avoid antagonizing the Luo leadership.
Very well.
Yes.
There you have it from Herman Manyora. We've been talking matters, political feature of CS Eliud Awallo and also matters to do with this public leadership and servantship, and this far what he has scored in his docket as the minister in charge for communication, information and digital economy. Until next time on Sesa Brigade, I'm yours truly, Richard Mwenjem. Always a pleasure to have you on board.